Hello, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is Superman Earth 1. Now, Earth 1 is a graphic novel written by J. Michael Straczynski. His last name, it's one of those names I could say in my head, but for the life of me, I can't physically say it, and this book is illustrated by Shane Davis, and of course it's published by DC Comics. Now, this was published in 2010, and this is the first book of the Superman Earth 1 series, which are all written by J. Michael Straczynski. Now, I believe there were two sequels to this book, Superman Earth 1 Volume 2 and Superman Earth 1 Volume 3. I'm not sure if there's any other volumes past that or not. Now, J. Michael Straczynski, once again, I know I'm not really saying his name right, he also created the show Babylon 5, and he also wrote the Clint Eastwood film Changeling, and he also co-wrote Thor, and he's done a bunch of other movies. Now, Superman Earth 1 is a retelling of Superman's origin, set completely in its own universe, and it's not connected to the mainstream DC continuity. Now, the plot of Superman Earth 1 is, it's a Superman origin story, so it begins when Clark Kent is, I want to say like in his early 20s, and he moves from Smallville to Metropolis, and he goes there to try to find work, and he's well aware of the powers that he has, and he's really trying to find his place in the world because he has no idea what he's going to do with these powers, and he's trying to find work in Metropolis. And a lot of Clark Kent's backstory in this book is told through flashbacks, where you find out that Clark Kent's parents found him in a crashed alien spacecraft, and basically they took him in and raised him with these values, and they told him that they think he's destined for greatness. And eventually in the story he does find out that he was originally from a planet called Krypton, but they kind of do something a little different in this story with how Krypton was actually destroyed. But basically, in the story, these aliens invade the Earth, and it turns out these aliens were actually enemies of Krypton. It turns out that Krypton and this other alien race have been warring for years, possibly hundreds and even thousands of years, but eventually this other alien race ended up destroying Krypton, and it turns out that they're on a mission to kill off every Kryptonian. So it turns out that they have been traveling throughout the universe looking for the last Kryptonian because they're aware that one Kryptonian ended up escaping Krypton, so they come to Earth and they say that if this Kryptonian doesn't give himself up, they will end up destroying the entire planet. So now Clark Kent realizes what he must do, and he becomes Superman and ends up fighting against these aliens, and that's the basic plot line of Superman Earth 1. But yeah, Superman Earth 1 I thought was a really good graphic novel, and I definitely recommend giving this a read if you haven't read it already. Now, so far this is the only book in the Superman Earth 1 series I have read, and I'm aware there are two sequels to this, but so far I haven't read the sequels. But even though this book definitely seems to be setting up things I'm guessing are continued in the sequels to this book, I still feel like you could kind of read this as a standalone story. And I also liked how this book played around with certain things about Superman's origin, like suggesting that Krypton, instead of destroying themselves, they were actually destroyed by an enemy alien race. And I also like how this story is really an alien invasion story, and it also really does touch on how if a Superman, like if a being like Superman really did show himself to the world, it really would change everything, or change a lot about society as we know it, and this book really does kind of touch on that, and the book tries to be kind of a realistic approach to how people would react to a being like Superman actually revealing himself to the world. Now, the 2013 Superman film, Man Man of Steel definitely seems to have taken a lot from this graphic novel. For example, in this book, there's a scene where the leader of these aliens communicates with the people of Earth through television signals, and Zod did something very similar in Man of Steel. But yeah, that's my review on Superman Earth 1, and bye.